I am now. This is the problem we are working on right now. If you need to pause it so you can look at it, go ahead and do so. If you already have it, I want to show off to your parents how smart you are. That's fine as well. If your parents just want to see what you're doing in class today, that's awesome as well. One of the main things that I have to teach you all is how to organize your problems when you're doing problem solving. Looking at the test we took that you finished yesterday, organization of your work is a disaster for many of you. Not all, but many. Also, when I gave this, about 2/3 of you sat there thinking, I don't know how many yards in a mile, without using some common sense and looking at the formula chart. Which is cray-cray, because you shouldn't have all that stuff memorized. Nobody's asked you to ever memorize it. Nor will they. You'll probably always get a formula chart when you're taking the tests, or when you're doing something that's not a test, you'll be able to look it up on your telefono or whatever device you would like to look it up on. So let's talk a little bit about organizing our problem. Before I get started solving at all, I know what I need to look for at first. I know what I need to look for at first. So if I read the problem, 1 week, Alex Anderson ran 15,840 feet on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, he ran 15,840 feet. Some of you didn't write that down anywhere, which means you put zero effort into solving the problem. On Thursday, or 3,520 yards on Thursday. And 4 miles on Friday. If I don't write that information down, circle it, underline it, make sure I know that that's what I'm looking for, you're not going to be able to solve the problem. And as I walk around and I don't see this information either on your paper or being written down right now, you're going to get a 0 on this in the grade book. So those of you just sitting there and drinking your water and not doing anything need to rethink that plan. Okay, so you could have gotten this stuff down without even looking at a formula chart. You could have. I'm not joking. I'm serious. All right, then your formula chart. Obviously, it says by reading the problem, you need to convert all the measurements to miles. So I need to see how many yards in a mile, because it says yards here. How many feet in a mile, because it says feet here. I don't need to know inches in a foot. I don't need to know inches in a yard. I don't need to know any of that other mess. So I don't need to write any of that other mess down. Oh, Reuben, how many yards are in 1 mile?
How many yards are in 1 mile?
That's what I said too. How many yards are in 1 mile?
1,760.
Good. There are 1,760 yards in 1 mile. 1,760 yards in 1 mile. Nevaeh, how many feet in 1 mile?
Yeah, 5,280.
Good. 5,280 feet in 1 mile.
Yeah.
Knowing that, having that written down, identifying that, allows me to figure out how many miles Alex ran on Wednesday and how many miles Alex ran on Thursday. So Laney, if he ran 15,840 feet on Wednesday, and there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile, give me an estimate. How many miles do you think he ran on Wednesday? And I'll give you a hint. It's a whole number of miles. It's not like a mile and a half or 63 miles and 4/10. So how many miles do you think? Okay, well, let's look. Let's think. If this is rounded to 5,000 and this is rounded to 15,000, how many would that be? From how many 5,000s are in 15,000? 3. So there's 2 ways I can do it. I can use some estimation and some multiplying, which I find that easier. Or you can divide 5,280 into 15,840. I don't like to use 4-digit divisors. Much too difficult for my puny brain. So, according to Laney, she believes that 15,840 yards is going to equal, feet, 15,840 feet is going to equal 3 miles. So how would I check that to see if it works? Okay, so you want to subtract 15,840, subtract 5,280. I get 0, I got to borrow 7, let's say that's 6, 5, 0, 1. So 15,840 feet equals 10,560 miles on Wednesday. Does that make sense? That he could run 10,560 miles in 1 day? It's hard to drive that many miles in 1 day. Probably impossible. So that's not going to be the way we do it. Okay, what do you want to divide? Divided by 5,280. Can you tell me how many times 5,280 goes into this? No. I mean, this is our way to get it. It seems like a lot of work to me. And how many miles did you think this was? You thought it was 3 miles? So how could we check if your answer was correct? Okay, I could add 5,280 up 3 times. What's another way to do that? Good. I could multiply it. Okay, Laney, 3 times 0. 3 times 8. 24. You have a multiplication chart there. 3 times 2. Okay, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And 3 times 5. 15. 15,840. So how many miles does 15,840 feet equal, Lainey? How many? Good, 3 miles. I wouldn't erase that on your paper because that may come back and help you, but I need the space. So I would change this. So now I know that on Wednesday he ran 3 miles. Are you writing any of this down?
I am.
Good. Good. Joseph. He ran 3,520 yards on Thursday. How would I figure out how many miles that is? Do you know how many yards are in 1 mile?
How many yards are in 1 mile?
Yeah, it's written on the board. Should also be written on your paper.
That's 1,706.
Okay, so how many times do you think this will go into this? How many times would you have to add this together to equal this?
Probably 2 times.
Probably 2 times? Well, let's check it. So 1,760 times 2. Kind of doing what the same way that Lainey did it. Joseph, 2 times 0 is?
0.
0. 2 times 6 is?
12.
12. Carry my 1. 2 times 7 is?
14.
Plus 1.
It's 15.
2 times 1 is?
2 times 1 is 3.
2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. So how many miles did he run on Thursday?
2 miles.
2 miles on Thursday. Again, I would leave this on your paper if it were me. But I need the room. So he ran 2 miles. Again, looking at some of y'all's papers, you have math written all over the place. And it's going to be like a scavenger hunt trying to find what you're looking for. Are you writing any of this down? All right, so we go back and look at our problem. On which day did he run the furthest? On which day did he run the furthest? Betsy.
The first day?
He ran the furthest on Friday. Okay, Friday was 4 miles. So somewhere on your paper, you're writing in words, he ran the furthest on Friday. Otherwise, you're not answering that question. He ran the furthest on Friday. Next week, he ran twice as many miles as he did the previous week. So this was week 1. This is week 2. And what did it say about week 2, Ivan?
Huh?
What did it say about week 2 compared to week 1?
He ran twice as many more miles.
Okay, so week 2 he ran twice as many miles as week 1. Again, I'm writing down a lot. On your tests, I saw so many of you not write down very much. And I'm not very smart, but I'm probably at least as smart as a 5th grader. And if I need to write down all this work, you need to write down all this work. You're not doing it in your head. So we have to answer the question, Ivan. How many miles did he run this week? Well, how many miles did he run the first week?
He ran 4 miles.
No? Wednesday he ran,
15? 3 miles?
and Thursday he ran,
2 miles?
and Friday he ran.
4 miles?
How many total miles was this week?
9?
9 miles. So this week was 9 miles. So week 2 was how many miles?
Twice?
Twice as much as that. So how many total miles is that?
18.
18 miles. So week 2, he ran 18 miles. Okay, I need to have that written somewhere on my paper, or I'm not going to be able to solve this problem. If you don't have it on your paper, you're just making stuff up. Instead of sticking with it and keeping trying. All right. How many total miles did Alex Anderson run altogether? How many total miles did Alex Anderson run altogether? Olivia.
Yes.
How many total miles did Alex Anderson run altogether? Yeah, go ahead. Well, that's the only way you're going to get it. Shh. 27 miles altogether. So that's going to have to be written on your paper because that's one of the questions. He ran 27 miles altogether. Boom. Shakalaka. He ran 27 miles altogether. But wait, there's more. If his sister, Andrea, ran 12 miles during that same time, who ran the furthest? So Andrea Anderson ran 12 miles. Andrea Anderson ran 12 miles. So Jaden, who ran the furthest? Andrea or Alex? Alex, because he ran how many miles?
27.
And Andrea ran how many miles? 12. So you'd have to answer that question. The answer needs to be written on there. Alex ran further than Andrea. Because there are a whole bunch of questions on here. You can't just answer whatever you want to. You have to answer each question. And then, the next one, so we know Alex ran the furthest. The next question asks, by how much? Alex ran the furthest by, Jocelyn?
6 miles?
6 miles. How did you get that?
I minus 18 minus 12.
Why 18? How many total miles did he run?
He ran
Total miles.
27.
27. So, how much further did he run? How much further did he run than his sister?
$15.
15 further miles? Is she right? Okay, I'm not doing the math. I'm lazy.
Yeah.
He ran the furthest by 15 miles. Show all your work. You must include all the running, not just the time he ran miles. That means you need to convert all the measurements to miles. Now looking at this, realizing that Mr. McMurdo erased some of his work because he didn't have room to make sure it was all shown on the board. you should see what your paper would look like minimum. Minimum. Because I'm certain in your head you weren't converting that to miles or you weren't converting that to yards. You may have had an idea because you could estimate, but you weren't doing it in your head. You need to make sure on your paper you've answered every question. On which day did he run the furthest? You had to answer that question. On Friday he ran the furthest. So if you don't have that answer written on your paper, that better be on your paper. Joseph, do you have that answer written on your paper? You have on Friday he ran the furthest written on your paper. No, you just have Friday. How do I know which question that goes with? How many total miles did Alex Anderson run altogether? You need to have somewhere in there 27 miles altogether. If that's not written on your paper, that Alex ran 27 miles altogether, then you're going to get a 0 as I'm walking around looking at this. If you don't have how much further Alex ran than Andrea, Alex ran the furthest by 15 miles. You need to have that written down. You still just have Friday in your paper. You need to have by how much. And it says you need to show all of your work. If I didn't allow you to look at this, and I checked your paper, and I couldn't figure out where you did your math or what you did, you'll get a 0. So just keep that in mind. We all good with this, Nevaeh?
Yeah.
You understand how I did it?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have another problem similar to this tomorrow. I know, right? I just hate that when he gives us work to do. It's just so like gnarly and stuff. It just makes me want to vomit.
Yeah.
All over the desk so that he has to clean it up himself because he's such a jerk. And they're right.
Gnarly.
He is a meanie.
He's just doing
You're telling me he like wants us to be smart and stuff and do well in school and stuff and be able to make millions so we can like share our money with him and stuff.
No.
Even though Giovanni made $14 million last year and didn't share any of it with me. That makes me so mad. Giovanni, share your money with me. You're rich. Peace out. Love you. God bless.